Hello and welcome to Dapper Drams, where we taste and review whiskey to try to determine if the dram in our glass is indeed a Dapper Dram. Well, I'm sure you can see that I've snuck back over to the Tamdhu distillery, and I'll get to why in a few minutes. Today, we will be talking about the very important but lesser known world of independent bottlers. In the Scotch whiskey world in particular, independent bottlers serve a very important function. When it comes to blends, especially in the realm of Johnnie Walker, many whiskeys are used in a very complex formula to create the brand's specific profile, the whiskey that you all know and love. A great number of those whiskeys are from distilleries that most people have never even heard of. The reason for that is because many distilleries, their sole purpose is to create whiskey that is used in blends, and rarely, if ever, will you see a release under the distillery's own label. Enter the independent bottler. Brands like Gordon & MacPhail, Signatory, Cadenheads, Hunter Lang, Douglas Lang, just to name a few, are taking those lesser-known distilleries like Glen Spey, Del Ewan, and Strathclyde, and bringing them to light. They buy bulk whiskey from those distilleries, age them in their own casks, mature them in their own warehouses, and when the time is right, they will bottle them at the strength and age that they think is right. They will also take well-known brands like Macallan and Laphroaig and Dalmore and age them in casks that maybe aren't traditionally known by those particular distilleries and bring you something that you might not expect. A Dalmore in a first fill bourbon barrel? Kalila in a refill sherry hogshead? Well, maybe not from the distillery, but certainly from an independent bottler. They can show you what a brand could be if done a little differently. This brings us back to why I'm at Tamdhu. Here we have two different Tamdhu whiskeys. This is the 12-year-old single malt that was released by the distillery, matured in exclusively in Oloroso sherry casks, bottled at 43% ABV, natural color, and chill filtered. And over here, we have an independent bottling of Tamdhu. This is a 13-year-old that is from the Dunvegan line, from the independent bottlers, William Maxwell and Company. Now, I couldn't find out much about that particular company, but it appears that they were bought out, absorbed, acquired by Ian MacLeod Distillers, who currently owns the Tamdhu distillery. Comes full circle. Anyway, this bottle represents a single cask, cask number 90341, distilled in February of 1994 and bottled in 2007. The only thing we know about it is that it has a Madeira finish. I don't know what the barrel used for primary maturation was, although if I had to guess, I would say it was a first fill bourbon barrel. I have no definite way of saying that, just my opinion. We also don't know how long it was aged in that barrel. We don't know how long the finishing process was. But we do know that it was bottled at 46%, natural color, and non-chill filtered. So let's see how these two compare to each other. Will they be worlds apart, or will they have more in common because they came from the same distillery? What we're going to do today is compare these two to find out if there are more similarities or more differences between them. We'll try to determine if the distillery new make character is enough to outshine the cask treatment, or if the different casks being used is enough to set these whiskeys apart to the point that you can't tell that they are from the same origin. How about we list each nosing and tasting note over here on the right? On the left will be the 12-year-old official distillery release. On the right will be the 13-year-old from the independent bottler. And then we'll make a Venn diagram and we'll try to see if there are more similarities or more differences. All right, we'll start with the 12-year-old. The 12 has lots of berries and raisins. As far as the berries go, it's blackberries, raspberries, blueberries, and cranberries. To save space over here, we'll just say berries. It's like a berry pie with nutmeg and honey on top. Sherry, some light sherry. Plums. Tangerines. Apricots. Oranges. Peaches. A lot of stone fruits. Vanilla and custard. It's got a definite malty character to it, like grape nuts cereal. Tart green apples, grapes, orange marmalade, definite brown sugar and caramel. There's a little bit of lemon oil and leather. And somewhat of a earthy aromatic note, possibly peat. It's very nice. Now, we'll move over to the 13-year-old. Lots of honey and fairly malty. Very, very fruity as well, with a ton of oranges and apricots and peaches. And clementines. Salted caramels. Brown sugar. More fruit in the way of cinnamon apples, apple pie, and pears, and grapes. There's a multi-cereal note like in the 12. Instead of grape nuts, though, it's more like a Honey Nut Cheerios. Light almonds, some oak, and some nutmeg. Maybe even pistachio. That's a new one. Black tea notes, a little grassy, and some fresh fennel. Vanilla, chocolate licorice, and the same sort of damp earthiness, possibly peat note as on the 12. Well, so now we can take all those nosing notes and with the power of the dark arts, bam! We have our Venn diagram. Based on the diagram, it looks like there are a few more similarities than there are differences. But what those nosing notes are not telling you is just how intense each one of those is, one compared to the other. For example, on the 13-year-old, the orange notes are incredibly powerful. But on the 12, they play more of a secondary role. The 12 is sherry influenced, obviously, because this one is Madeira finished. Again, I don't know if the primary maturation was bourbon or sherry. I'm guessing it's bourbon. But there's definite differences between them. Maybe we should move on to the palate and see if that will bring any more clarity. Starting with the 12 again. It's very malt forward. Lots of honey and oak. We'll call them mixed berries to save space again, but it's the same berry composition as on the nose. There's cranberries, blackberries, blueberries. Green apples. Or just apples. No, red apples, not green apples. Grapes. Tangerines. Oranges. Orange peel. That's a new one. Walnut brownies. Never had brownies before in a whiskey, but there it is. Quite nice. Wood spice like ginger and nutmeg. And pie crust. Very confectionery in that respect. More malty and wood spicy than fruity. but good nonetheless. Okay, let's move on over to the 13-year-old. Very strong on the oranges and orange peel with honey and pretty malty. Yeah, definite cereal malt in there. A very light peat. Earthy, not smoky. I've never gotten really any... Never mind. I was going to say I've never gotten much smoke in a Tamdhu before, but I did on the last one. But that was just a hint of smoke, not so much peat. This one is more earthy, aromatic than smoke. Definitely different than any other heavily peated out there. A little vegetal. Tannic oak, slightly bitter. Dry white wine. A little salty. Lightly spiced with almonds and pistachio. Underripe pears and green apples. Pie crust, like I got on the 12th. Again, that's very interesting. And some pickled ginger. A little more. It's sweet at times and a little bitter at other times. So now we use a little bit more of that black magic and we have our Venn diagram. And again, you can see that there are pretty much just as many similarities as there are differences. But just like last time, this doesn't give you the whole picture. Yes, they are both heavy on the malt and honey, but the orange notes that are there are miles apart from each other when it comes to intensity. My point is, you can read reviews and you can see that many whiskeys, almost every whiskey out there, being in the same category, bourbons, Islay Scotches, Space Ciders, Irish, a lot of them will share a lot of the same notes. But that doesn't mean that they taste anything like each other. If you really want to know what a whiskey has to offer, buy a bottle, try it for yourself, just use reviews as a guide. So back to the original question. Can I tell that these whiskeys are from the same distillery? It's not an easy question to answer. But if I had to, I would say that the differences outweigh the similarities in such a way that no, in a blind tasting I would not be able to tell that these are both from the same distillery. So this really helps to show that the casks used really do make a huge impact on the final result. It also shows that distilleries and blending houses work very diligently to create a very specific recipe or profile, and they work very hard to make sure that it consistently is what is in the bottle. So if you see your favorite brand of whiskey on a shelf with a funny looking label, you may have come across an independent bottling. Grab it, along with an official distillery release. Compare the two. Figure out for yourself which one you like the best. As far as scores go on these two whiskeys, well, I'm going to rate them the same. Now, they're very different, but they're kind of like children. They come from the same place. You love them equally, just differently. And I'm going to give them both 21 out of 26 data points on a Venn diagram. And of course, the question of the day is, are these Dapper Drams? Well, I'm going to say yes on both of them. However, they both have some room for improvement. Now, if you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button. And if you're not subscribed, please do so now. Also, you can head on over to distiller.com to read these and all of my reviews. Just check out the username generously_Paul. Oh, one last thing I forgot to mention. Sandy and I worked out our differences. He even took the time to sign this bottle. Check this out. Best wishes and joy, Sandy McIntyre. Well, that just goes to show you that I should be welcome over there anytime I want. In fact, I think I'm going to go down there right now. Good thing that Scottish lawyer guy isn't after me anymore. Anyway, that's all the time we have for today on Dapper Drams. We'll see you next time.